Hello and welcome to this history tutorial on the Catholic challenge to the religious settlement. This is for Edexcel GCSE History Elizabethan England. Today we will cover how Catholics in both England and abroad reacted to the introduction of the religious settlement in 1559 and whether they posed a significant threat to Elizabeth and the settlement. It is important to remember that when Elizabeth became Queen in 1558, the majority of England were Catholic, so she needed them to support the religious settlement when it was introduced in 1559. Elizabeth, if we remember, designed the settlement with a number of compromises to enable Catholics to support it. It is difficult to know exactly how acceptable English Catholics really found the Elizabethan Church, but most historians agree that it won a significant proportion of Catholics round. However, we also know that approximately a third of the nobility were recusants, meaning that they did not follow the new religious settlement. Most of the recusants were situated in the northwest of England, for example the Earls of Northumberland and Westmoreland. The Catholic nobles were a potential threat to the religious settlement as they could attempt to overthrow Elizabeth and restore Catholicism. In 1569, this actually happened when the Earl of Northumberland and Westmoreland led a revolt against Elizabeth, with religion being one of the reasons for their discontent. Foreign powers, such as France and Spain, also posed potential challenges to the religious settlement. France and Spain were both Catholic countries, and they might try to reverse the religious settlement and replace Elizabeth with a Catholic monarch. However, neither country was really in a position to challenge the religious settlement in the 1560s. France was in the midst of dealing with its own religious wars, a conflict which raged in France for the next 30 years. Spain was also dealing with a growing revolt in the Netherlands, which they ruled during Elizabeth's reign. Spain did not want England to form an alliance with Protestant rebels in the Netherlands, and so Spain wanted to remain on good terms with Elizabeth, and so avoided challenging the religious settlement. Another challenge to the religious settlement could have come from the Pope, head of the Catholic Church. Protestantism was spreading across Europe during this time in what is known as the Reformation. The Pope was leading the fight back against Protestantism in a campaign called the Counter-Reformation. Many believed the Pope might excommunicate Elizabeth, expel her from the Catholic Church, and this would encourage Catholic countries to invade England, or lead to Catholics within England rebelling against Elizabeth's rule. The Pope, however, struggled to take any military action against England as he was reliant on troops from France and Spain, as they did not have the resources to support such a campaign. The Pope did, however, take some action against the religious settlement. In 1566, the new Pope, Pius IV, issued an instruction that they should not attend Church of England services. Many had thought he would have excommunicated Elizabeth, so by not doing so, the Pope actually gave the religious settlement and new church time to establish itself. In summary, the introduction of the religious settlement in 1559 could have been challenged by many linked to the Catholic faith. The majority of England were Catholic at this time, and although one-third of the nobility were recusants, the majority of Catholics accepted the new church, in part because Elizabeth ensured there were numerous concessions to appease Catholics. Foreign powers such as France and Spain, whilst committed to preventing the spread of Protestantism and protecting the Catholic faith, were both dealing with religious conflicts within their own lands in the 1560s, so were not in a position to offer any opposition to the settlement. Many expected the Catholic challenge to come from the Pope as head of the Catholic Church. However, the Pope did not act to excommunicate Elizabeth and only acted in 1566, by which point the new church had been given enough time to establish itself. It is clear that there was some Catholic challenge to the religious settlement, but the strength of the opposition in the 1560s was not as strong as might have been expected. To get further help, visit history.outwood.com, see your teacher in school, or check out quiz.outwood.com for those sweet revision quizzes. You can also follow the Outwood Humanities team on Twitter @OGATHumanities. Until next time, that was a little bit of history.